Hi everybody, welcome to the July Energy Update. I'm Lee, I'm an intuitive, and for 6 years now I've been creating these monthly messages where I take the energetic pulse of what's going on the planet and speak about how they might be affecting you in a human way, a spiritual way, or just your sensitivity and your emotions. So in the June Energy Update, I spoke about power and vulnerability and how they were going to show up in force in June. And certainly the intensity of the last few years shows no signs of slowing down. The difference is we're getting a little more accustomed to how we navigate these intense times on Earth, because we're going through a shakedown, both in the collective and what we see going on outside us, but that has a very direct effect on who we are internally. It shakes up our patterns, it wakes us up, it moves us very quickly through shifts, patterns, thoughts, emotions that perhaps 10 or 20 years ago we would have done at a much slower speed. And many of you, myself included, can attest that even 4 or 5 years ago things did not feel this fast. So if you feel a little bit like June was the wild, wild west for you internally and you're looking for a slowdown, that's not going to come from the outside world. This is a time where we have to cultivate what we need internally. And if you're watching this, you're going to be a sensitive soul, because that's pretty much the people I speak to, and that's how I experience the world too. So an interesting thing that came through for me this morning when I was tuning in on this update was there is going to be a reverse polarity at work this month. So this will show up in two different ways. It will either be that you are doing things in your life that seem the opposite to who you normally are. So, for example, perhaps you argue a lot with your sister and you usually lose those arguments. You might suddenly find your power in that argument and shift that whole dynamic and change years of programming between you and your sister and stand up to some of the conflict energy that's coming your way. And that will completely change not just your identity, but also her identity around that pattern. So you might find yourself behaving in opposite ways to your norm. And this is very good, because we're in a phase of the balance of power. So we're seeing gross power imbalances play out in the outside world. Of course, that will come up for us. Many people are reporting very intense dreams of late, which, is par for the course with soul-led people. Our dreams and what takes place at night is often there to rebalance us. I remember channeling many years ago, my guides were talking about how at night there are things that we can play out and play through so that we don't have to play them out in the day. And I think there's been a lot that has been deeply intense around the heart on the earth in the last month or so, just the last month or so. So that's raising to the surface for you power imbalances and where there might be power imbalances showing up in your own life. And it's your opportunity to take care of them. But it might mean you behave in a very different way to how you normally do. So reversing your normal pattern. The other side of this reverse polarity sentence that came to me this morning is you're going to find the opposite speed is going to be beneficial for some of you. So for example, if you're a very fast person, you might find that at the moment you are being stopped left, right and center with your speed. The universe and your soul do not want you to keep going fast, because that's not how you're going to receive more of yourself, be able to center yourself, give more out to the world. This is a time of real nervous energy on the planet. The message that came through in a channeled message and a sound healing session at our latest retreat last week, which is this month's recording, it's called Birthing a New Earth. It talked about the nervous energy on the planet that's everywhere right now, and it's in everyone. And it's because so much is happening so fast. But when there is that level of fear and anxiety just in the air, how does it directly affect you? So some of you who are used to going really fast, or the way that you've previously moved energy in your life or balanced your energy is to go running or to do lots of things or to help lots of people. You'll find that those things might be asking you to go in reverse right now. You might be being invited to be still, to be quiet. Perhaps circumstances are making you do that. You're trying all these things that normally work, but all the doors are closing. trust what's going on for you. There's always a higher reason for the things that we go through in life. Even though I'm with you, it's not always comfortable for us as human beings when we're right in the heart of something that can be pushing us into places of discomfort or out of our comfort zone. But if you just wait a few days or a few weeks, you'll be able to look back and go, oh, I see why that whole thing fell apart, because if it hadn't fallen apart, it wouldn't have given me the opportunity to go over here. But at the time, I thought it was the worst thing. There's a lot of that going on right now because the way the universe is working and the speed of things, if you aren't in alignment with a person or a project or a thing, it's going to scream at you loud and clear. And it's nobody's fault. It's not the fault of that person. It's not the fault of that opportunity. It's just all of us are being asked to look at the balance of power right now. So equally, those of you who like to be slow and quiet and meditative, you might find you're being asked to speed up a little bit at the moment. This reverse polarity thing is going to affect us through our patterns or our behaviors or through our speed of living. So for those of you who are used to being slower, you might find you have now cultivated such a balance through that slowness and that meditative way of being that you can now speed things up a little bit, and you'll be surprised how much you can manifest, arrange, and offer of yourself to the world in that phase. So I am here in one of my favorite places in the world. It's magical Santa Fe. They know all about pace and presence here. So I hope you can feel some of that coming through the lens, those of you who are looking for a little bit of slowness and a little bit of stillness. It leads me to the last two aspects of this month's themes for July. So drives around oneness and humanity are going to be showing up for more and more of us. It's going to continue. The more that we see the polarity playing out around non-compassion, non-humanity, we are going to feel more compelled over the coming years to lend our voices, our hearts, and our actions to standing for oneness, non-separation. And the fact that we are all one. We may all be very different people with very different life experiences, but if you put 20 people in a room and ask them to tell you what's going on inside them, you would be amazed at the intimacy that would be created in those 20 people, because their story might be different to you, but when people really talk about what's going on deep down inside internally for them, when they speak about feeling lonely on earth, or feeling lonely within their family even though they know they're loved, or feeling like a failure even though they're the most successful person in their community supposedly, that's when things get real, and that's when things get authentic. So expression and communication with each other at this time in history, more than ever, is vital. So find the people you can share your thoughts and maybe your fears, maybe your desires with, but find the people that you can actually bring expression into your community energy with them, because that's going to be really important. And we are seeing more and more that communities, relationships are springing up and forging. And some people will come into your life for a while, some people will come in for many, many years. But at the moment, there's a lot of new energy in people's identities, people's relationships, friendships, lover relationships. That's really on high at the moment. So to go back to what I just said about drives around wanting to help humanity and oneness with others, that's there, but be mindful of this. A message came to me around ambition, and an old idea of ambition when the mind starts to feel what the heart desires and goes too fast. I don't know about you, I've done that many times in my life over the years. It's when you feel something feels really good and you start to either overplan it or move too fast toward it. That's going to be a really important lesson for those of you who feel driven to help the world, help your community. You're going to, if you pay attention, really feel the truth of where the energy is welcome and where you are invited, and learn to trust your body's senses around that, and learn to trust when someone tells you no or pushes you back or says, no, I don't want that. And don't let your mind run the show when your heart is feeling this sense of oneness or wanting to help community. For more and more of us are learning how much more the universe is in charge on an experiential level. Not just thinking about it, reading about it in a book, thinking it sounds lovely when you see it in a quote. Actually, day to day going, oh my God, this really, I'm really not in charge here, and now I really understand I'm not in charge, and there is a growth trajectory that we are all on as a collective, and there is a growth trajectory that I am on as an individual. So if you're getting too sucked in to what's going on in the outside world and using it only to depress you or bring you into despair, you might want to consider, okay, what can I do to help? Or if it's overwhelming to you and your sensitivity is too high, which can happen to all of us from time to time, then you step back and you go, okay, I'm gonna be quiet for a day or two. I'm gonna reset my nervous system so I am of use to the whole. So drives around helping humanity and oneness, but be mindful of old sense of ambition or trying to push things too hard, too quickly. This is not a time for forcing anything. This is a time for flowing and listening with things, because things are moving very, very fast. Last but not least, tender-heartedness. Many of us are experiencing, whether it's through things that we're seeing that we feel empathy or compassion for, or whether it's in our own personal lives, we are getting in touch with our hearts more and more. And that's definitely coming because there are other aspects of society that we're looking at and seeing that heart is not in operation. But again, don't get sucked into that. We're here to be the change, we're here to be the solutions, and we're here to build what we want to see on the planet. But be mindful, you are not here to save anybody. You are here to contribute as much as you can, as much as you feel on any given day. Otherwise, it gets too much, and the sense of responsibility that people can feel can drive them to pretty devastating actions, which we've been seeing recently with the loss of a few, very revered people in the public eye, but that's happening on a day-to-day basis. People are struggling at this time on Earth with the nervous energy that's going around and how much their sensitivity is being hit. So those of you who are teachers of sensitivity or help your community with their sensitivity, that's a huge thing that you're doing. So keep it up. Don't be shy about doing it. The world needs you to help right now with your skill. And if your skill is holding space for people or helping them process stuff, that's of high value right now because people really need it. So offer it however you can. Okay guys, that's everything for the July energy update. Thank you so much for tuning in. I do these every month, so if you're watching this on YouTube, hit subscribe and you will never miss a video. I also release lots of other standalone videos on topics, ways of life, so hit subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching this on Facebook, then you may have found your way back to my Facebook page, Lee Harris, where we share all kinds of clips and quotes and videos. But for those of you who want to go deeper with my work, the best way to do that is the portal. It's my online members community, and every single month I do a live video broadcast called the Monthly Energy Tune-Up. It's where I essentially do this, but for the members of my community, and I go deeper with the themes that are coming up that month energetically and how to deal with some of it, and then I answer as many of your questions as I can get through in the 90-minute broadcast. If you miss the live broadcast, they are all archived for the year, so you can go back and watch as many of them as you want. And we also give you my latest monthly recording. This month, that's called Birthing a New Earth, and we'll play you a short clip of that at the end of this video. And if you aren't in the portal and you don't want to be in the portal, you can buy that in the store. But if you're a portal member, you get that free. We have so much more in the portal, so do go to the portal page and check it out. We have monthly exclusive Qigong, we have a community forum, an online discount. It's an incredible value, one-stop shop for so many aspects of my work and other work that can help you right now. So we hope you enjoy it, and thanks for checking it out. Last but not least, I have 2 live events remaining this year. One is at the Omega Center in Rhinebeck, New York. It is an energy mastery 3-day weekend, and if you're at Omega doing someone else's workshop that weekend, we're doing a sound healing concert on the Saturday night for the whole campus. So we'd love to see you there if you're at Omega on the weekend of, it's around the August the 10th to the 12th, I believe. Last but not least, our big annual transformation event is Soul Magic, and this year we are again holding that in Magical Blue Spirit Center in Costa Rica, which is off the charts as a place. So if you can join us to set up your 2019 in style for 1 week of all kinds of different transformational activities with me and my team, we'd love to have you. That's October the 27th for a week in Costa Rica. So all details are at my website. Thank you for tuning in, guys. But for now, here's that short clip of Birthing a New Earth. Big love. The world at this point is changing faster than any of you can keep up with. And that is exactly the point.
You are not supposed to be keeping up with the point or the speed of others around you. You are supposed to be experiencing yourself at this new level of speed on an ever-increasing planet. A planet that gets faster, wider, and more multidimensional every single day. So this is why the sensitive among you can feel overwhelmed, even though you mastered overwhelm a year or two ago, and so you thought. You figured out how to not feel overwhelmed, and you thought you had cracked it. To be overwhelmed should not be seen as a failing. To master overwhelm should not be seen as an achievement. Instead, it is a moment in time, meaning as you grow and change and the world around you grows and changes, that moment in time is going to continually expand, and people around you will continually expand, and you yourself will have to find your position, your center anew every single day. So take that in for a moment, this idea that you aren't getting anything wrong. You are simply on a rapidly expanding planet that you couldn't possibly understand with your mind, and that is not because you have a mind that can't comprehend everything, and that is a failing. It is that you have a mind that can't comprehend what's going on because the mind tracks history. And change is hitting all of you at an unprecedented rate.
You'll feel the love you held then. Your arms will open wide. You'll see a golden world occur.